Hello there, beautiful and amazing people. Yes, you. Today, I want to talk about something that I've been struggling with for the better part of my life. What that really is feeling my feelings. As you guys have gotten to know me, you've shared to the best of my ability my story, my upbringing, just the ancestral trauma, any trauma that any family or any individual would endure or take on or absorb. Because let's face it, energy cannot be created or destroyed. When the majority of your life has been traumatic in the sense of being in a war-torn survival mode scenario, country, environment, then realistically, you take that on, right? And so we have, as human beings, embraced this energetic exchange. You can call it DNA or through the womb or just being there for our parents. Really, if you want to simplify things, just choosing to love. And what does that mean? It means choosing to sometimes be a pillar or a rock for our parents, them doing that for their parents, the theme goes on, right? History repeats itself. So it's no surprise that we're in the state of the world that we are, and our, incredible, well-known world leaders and leaders of the world are in a state of disarray and chaos and at each other's throats. I'm sure everyone has probably good intentions, even though it doesn't look like that from the outside in, but let's face it, the reality is a lot of the leaders are trying to protect their people and their nation, and you could only imagine the type of stress that takes and that puts on, and that type of pressure and the type of just everything. Sometimes it's easy to judge a book by a cover, but the reality is if we put ourselves in those shoes of our parents or leaders or other people or individuals, we'd probably be a lot like them, right? So let's talk about that. Essentially, we now are in a state of the world where we literally have world leaders essentially publicly expressing levels of hatred and aggression. It's heartbreaking, right? It opposes our natural state. What is our natural state? Look at the innocent baby. What do you see? You see a being of love. Look at a dog. Look at humanity. Look at in its pure state, in its innocent state. Look at the nature. Look at animals, and you see pure love, right? Really, today we want to talk about feeling our feelings and why that's important. Because part of the reason we are where we are is because we have somehow come to this cycle of living that continues to repeat itself, to try to live in this external world and make sense of it with our minds, but not really realizing the truth, where the external world is a projection of the mind. The way that we can comprehend what we're experiencing is through our feelings. So in reality, the outside is only real from what we feel inside, which means that the only thing that is true is our feelings, is our emotion. Because of this trauma and because of the state of the world and because of our inherited choice to be responsible in the sense of love, naturally, to take on all of this energy, because our intentions are to love and to feel loved by essentially sacrificing ourselves to absorb this trauma or this shock, right? Like you would see a car kind of go over a bump and there's got some shock. So what happens is we freeze. We freeze emotionally. We learn to shut them off. We learn to stop feeling, and we learn to bury those emotions. And something somewhere in our body is tingling, and it manifests itself through stress, through erratic behavior, through addiction, through uncontrollable actions that don't make sense. And then we label them and call it crazy, or we give things labels like bipolar or insane or whatever, ADD, ADHD, BPD, whatever you want to call it. We label things to make things make sense. But in reality, I'm not crazy. You're not crazy. None of us are crazy. There's no such thing as good or bad. In reality, we're emotional beings. Every single thing that exists is an emotional being. The nature, animals, the universe, everything is emotions. And somehow, some way, we continue to make these choices that make us think that we should be robots, right? I will not feel. But in reality, something manifests physically. We can't control it because it manifests itself, whether it comes through forms of cancer or disease or addiction or whatever you want to call it, because we can't lie. You can't just keep brushing the dust under the rug and pretend that it's not there. And I, for one, have continued to and am continuing to learn that the hard way, where I'll still struggle with anxiety and spinning and worrying and fear, and the list goes on. The feeling that I can't trust love and everything's a quicksand under me. But the truth is that I myself have been traumatized, and I myself have taken on a lot of trauma, and I myself have chosen to feel for others and to take on those emotions and feelings because I thought that was the right choice. Trying to be Atlas and hold the world up over my shoulders while it just crushes me, or shackle myself as I try to climb a mountain because I think that's the right thing to do. Because really, I just want to love somebody so that they love me. Because all we want and need is love at the end of the day. You know, the ultimate question is, to this Rubik's Cube that we call life, is how do you set yourself free? How do we set ourselves free? Well, that's what we have, the emotional compass. It's about time we all chose to start feeling our feelings and to be vulnerable and to be honest and to just feel safe to feel. We've come to the point where we understand and we know that feelings are our truth. So why aren't we feeling? Why are we labeling everything as crazy and as insane and as just, it's too much, right? I, for one, can firsthand tell you that it's scary as hell. It is scary as hell to feel or to see big feelings or big emotions. It is scary, it is petrifying when you see someone in this state, or when you feel these things. You become paralyzed, you freeze, you become angry, you become unexplainably frustrated because you don't know, you don't have the tools to understand your feelings, because you've been taught to shut them down and brush them under the rug and not feel, and perhaps you're in a state of shock, or you're frozen, or you become a turtle where you just hide in the shell, right? So it's actually really difficult, and we have to honor that, first of all. Second of all, we have to stop labeling things. We have to stop judging ourselves and everything around us to just suggest that something or someone is crazy or good or bad, because there's no such thing. Because why on earth who do I think I am to label you as good or bad, yet you have life and I have life, or for you to label me as good or bad, or anyone in this world, or anyone that has manifestly existed in this passing through, whether it's in the infinite space before us or after us or within us, that we somehow think that we can be the judge of life. Like, did we create this world? Did we create the trees? Did we create nature? Did we create everything that creates life? The sun, the moon, the stars, humanity, existence? First of all, how are we responsible for everyone and everything that exists? And second of all, who the heck are we to think that we have any power or control to be able to judge or label anything as good or bad, or as crazy or not crazy, or something that makes sense or doesn't make sense? What I do know is something's keeping me alive, and that I'm breathing against my will or with my will, or consciously or subconsciously, who knows? My body's functioning. I feel all sorts of feelings. I think all sorts of things. I see things with my own eyes. I know that if I feel lost or confused, I look at nature and I see the truth there. Let's back this up for a second. Now I'm scared shitless, okay? Because I'm the same guy that goes back to that scene as a kid where, you know, my dad would chase me to the washroom and I would lock myself and run and hide in complete darkness. And this is the same equivalency. Like, let me remind you, my dad never had a dad, right? So this is the same equivalency of him trying to figure life out, having 9 kids, like, didn't think that one through, all jokes aside. That's a lot of stress to add to a father who technically rescued our family by escaping the Civil War, by pushing himself, and in turn was beat by his brothers. But if he wasn't every day to push himself, to educate himself, to become a master and a doctor in mathematics, to escape a war-torn country, because that's the only way he was able to get out to France and then Canada, and ironically, throughout all that chaos, bring us children here to the west coast of Canada, which is beautiful and amazing and miraculous and incredible, but at the same time having 9 children out of love, in turn being oppressed and oppressing into this cycle of chaos, but doing what he thought was best to protect, but in turn being, you know, perceived as abuse, or becoming very abusive, and unintentionally, because that's all he knew, and he's in survival mode still, right? Back in the Middle East, still. Look at the Middle East, look at Ukraine, look at a lot of the world. We're very blessed. For us to even be conscious here, to listen to each other and sit here and be blessed with what we have, we are very blessed. Life is a gift. We have to understand that this is that reality. But anyways, here I am as a little kid. I go back to the scene. This is what a trigger is. It goes back to the scene. I'm scared shitless, hiding in the darkness. And I think I'm okay. I think I'm this big, tough guy and I've gotten past it. But no, I really haven't. Right? And then there's this other scene with my grandma passing away in front of me, begging God to take her because she can't handle the pain anymore. What is this little kid supposed to think? Now my grandma's left me with this family who's traumatized and my father that chases me around. I don't know what's going on. I'm a little kid. Thank God today that with a lot of time, work, and understanding of my emotions, and my wife who's done nothing but supported me to feel and feel and feel, as scary as it's been, and my counselors and spiritual guides and everything, the choice to be vulnerable and feel and rely on the universe and God for help has been incredible to allow me to start feeling, to just randomly go to the washroom and start crying, and to understand that my anxiety is actually connected to my heart. And my family suffers with IBS and IBD. Well, guess what? I mean, your gut controls a lot of your immune system and your trauma points, right? And for some reason, after I cry, my heartburn's gone. I don't have anxiety anymore. Think about that. It's because there's these trapped emotions that we're just shoving under the rug. But what happens to all that shit that's under the rug, just sitting there, collecting dust and swirling and sitting there together, and who knows what happens under that rug. But it's gonna fuck you up. Your brain's gonna hurt, you're gonna spin, you're gonna be anxious because you're trying to make sense of it all. And now you're not trusting anything and you become hardened. That's not a life you want to live. We escape to these places of drinking to numb the pain, or drugs to try to run away from it temporarily. And sure, you feel high for a second, but that's about it, right? But in reality, we're just humans feeling feelings, and none of us want to admit it. Question is, how the fuck do you free yourself, right? Well, you do that by being emotional. Well, it's easier said than done, because you got to go revisit that trauma point, and you got to say to that kid, you got to say, listen, kid, look at who you are today. Take a look in the fucking mirror. You are a badass motherfucker. You are beautiful inside and out. Okay, there's no such thing as good or bad. And I know it doesn't make sense, but if you choose to stop labeling things and judging things as good and bad, or positive and negative, and instead you take that yin yang and you make it one, and you look at the light and the darkness together as it should be looked at. Because let's face it, there is no yin without yang, and there's no yang without yin. So when you look at everything together as one, the light and the dark, you realize and understand that, holy fuck, that is beautiful. Why? Because if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have chosen to go inside and to become spiritual at a young age, to find my own light, instead of trying to constantly go outside into the world and shake my fucking ass on TikTok and fucking do this and that and not be myself and go do drugs and fucking drink, which I was easily headed down those holes many times. But thank God that I was able to go back inside and be like, someone help me, guide me, love me, teach me to forgive, to love, to look inside and realize that, holy shit, I don't need the fucking outside world. Sure, I need sustenance, but what I need is love. Not love from you, love from myself, love from whatever created me, right? And that took me a long time. I'm 33 years old. Today I had to experience the last few months and weeks have been tough, because all these things have been trying to come up to me and I just keep getting afraid and pushing down. But really all I need to do is talk about it and cry about it and feel and revisit and come to the realization that, wait a minute, because this happened to me, I'm sitting here right now talking to you, way more, extremely, infinitely empathetic, compassionate, grateful, understanding, loving, wanting to love, wanting to create love, wanting to be emotional, wanting to face my fears, and I'm fucking strong. I'm a badass motherfucker. I'm a good father, I'm a good husband, and I'm learning about love. Love from myself, not from some fucking church or some mosque or some priest or some fucking TV show or drugs or alcohol or material. Sure, these things are great and fun and cool, but they're temporary. The reality is, what's infinite and what's lasting is you. It's your heart, it's your soul. It's the things that you love. It's the things that love you. Let's compare ourselves to nature. We easily fall so victim to our ego that just tells us you're fucking useless and you're pathetic and you're stupid and all these things, but it's just so ridiculous how fast our ego does not want to feel and just shuts everything down. And that's what helps push everything under that rug. But I thought to myself, Richard, come on, you're fucking stronger than this, man. You know that there's something going on. You're feeling something. For a few days I was spinning hard. I sat in the dentist chair and I had to like sit up. I couldn't breathe. I had to go to the washroom. Oh my God, what's going on? Holy shit. I just needed to cry. And I know most, women who are way more emotionally intelligent than us men will laugh about it. Because a good cry is like what it takes, right? You need to have a good cry. You need to feel your feelings. You need to let that shit out. You need to let that shit go. And again, it's easier said than done. So how do you do that? You rely on sources of love and guidance, sources of safety, and being able to revisit and see the picture as one, right? Not one or the other. That's a big problem that we have. So let's compare ourselves to nature. We're struggling. This is really fucking hard. It's really scary. I'm going to turtle. I'm going to hide because the darkness fucking scares me. It scares all of us. But in reality, look at yourself now, who you are today. Go and fucking look at that shit and embrace it and be like, wow, you know what? I didn't connect the dots. I didn't see the light and the dark together. I didn't see that what had happened created this really, really powerful being, that a force, a dark force, you want to call it, sure, that pushed the light into being pushed within me, through me, right? Through me, in order to push me to go inside and find that power. Okay? If anyone's a fan of Dragon Ball Z or superheroes, Goku, or many anime shows or whatever, the power comes from inside. Star Wars, the Force. It doesn't come from fucking outside. Yoda doesn't say go fucking climb Mount Everest and all of a sudden you're strong. No, they keep telling you to go inside, go inside, go inside, go inside, right? The darkness, ironically, is what creates the light. So if you look at Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, it is so fucking beautiful. Not only is he his lineage, so he's now physically created Luke Skywalker, but also through his energy created the brightest light fucking possible. So if we look at history, darkness is actually the force of light. So they work hand in hand together, the yin yang, right? Swirling after each other. So fucking beautiful, right? Because if there's no darkness, there's no light. If there's no Pharaoh, there's no Moses. If there's no Moses, there's no Pharaoh. If there's no Hitler and suffering, there's no comprehension of what suffering is, compassion, forgiveness, love, empathy, all these things, right? What our ego likes to do is it likes us to latch onto this idea that, oh my God, darkness is so terrible, and you're dark, and you're shit, and you're garbage, and you're all these things, but none of that's true. And in reality, light and the dark is the same thing. Light and the dark is one thing. Because Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker can't exist without each other. And Darth Vader actually empowered Luke Skywalker to become infinitely fucking powerful, right? And the light to shine, even in the tiniest little star in the galaxy, was able to just explode and emerge and get pushed into its biggest potential. Just like Goku had to get the shit kicked out of him over and over and over and over again, but he was compassionate and loving and kind. And because of that, he became infinitely powerful, right? And this is the lesson of life, that if we look at history, guess what? First there was Pharaoh and then there was Moses. Moses wasn't there. Who the fuck is Moses? It doesn't mean shit if there's no Pharaoh. If there's no Pharaoh oppressing humanity, oppressing thousands, millions of humans, which we're still paying the price for today because history repeats itself. And we've decided to do what? Brush that shit under the rug over and over and over again. If you look at the world right now, who's the oppressors? Think about that. Because we've chosen not to feel. We've chosen to hold on to our shit. We've chosen not to forgive. We've chosen to hate because it's fucking easier. Because sitting in the darkness is easier than facing the darkness. You know what's even harder? What's harder than that? Holding both up at the same time and being like, holy fuck, this is powerful. And embracing the light and the dark and realizing that each other are married, right? And understanding that they each define each other. And it can't be that. It can be more beautiful than that. So now if we want to play victim, let's look at nature. Let's look at the tree. If anyone deserves to play victim, it's the fucking dog. It's the tree that doesn't have as much free will as a human being. But somehow, some way, the tree in the forest that can stand fucking tall for 100, 200, 300 years and get shit on and pissed on and fucking go through winter and die and come back to life and sway in whatever direction the wind makes it sway, but it's stuck there in the ground. It can't fucking move. Somehow it still grows tall. And we cut it down, and we build fucking chairs, and we build shitters, and we build houses, and we treat everything like shit. And we treat the fucking tree like shit, and the forest like shit, and we treat the entire world around us like shit. Somehow, some way, that tree still fucking stands tall and chooses to love. Chooses to love you, chooses to love me, chooses to love nature, chooses to receive, chooses to give. Look at the sun. Look at the moon. Look at the fucking ocean. We shit on it. We piss on it. We throw shit in it. And still, it chooses to love us. Because without any of that, guess what? None of us would be here. And without unconditional love and forgiveness, none of us would be here. Okay? We're human beings. And we're meant to learn from this passing through. However, we need to choose to be one with nature if we want this chaos to end, and this hatred and this destruction and this anxiety and this spinning and all this shit that we've created that just is fucking stupid. Because it's like, let's be emotional. Let's fucking feel. Let's talk about how we feel. What if all the world leaders got together and they put their fucking bank accounts and their big swinging dicks to the side and their crotches and they said to each other, let's fucking feel. Like, go to a Burning Man and just fucking feel and see what happens. And you will fucking see people crying and crying and crying and just fucking exploding with emotion. Because guess what? They've taken on all the emotion of the nation. No wonder why they're at each other's throats. Right? So it's like, what are we willing to do? Are we going to just sit here and just choose to continue to fucking hate each other and hate ourselves and hate everything around us because that's easy? We're going to take a look at the light and the dark and understand that, like, this is a marriage. Like, let's stop trying to divorce the two. there's nothing you can do about it. Because whatever you choose, it doesn't fucking matter. Because the universe has been here before you and will be here after you. So do we want to keep shitting on ourselves and shitting on each other, or do we want to see the truth? Right? So back to nature, like, wow, that is fucking powerful. So if you feel lost and you feel down, you feel shitty, look at the sun and look at the tree and be like, holy crap, like, you know what? That's fucking badass. Like, I want to be like the tree. None of this stuff matters. I'm going to choose love. I'm going to choose forgiveness. I'm going to let go because I'm going to grow tall and strong. I'm going to give you love no matter what. I'm going to stay open. And I'm going to realize there's no such thing as good or bad, because if the sun measured the way that it gave you light based on good and bad, like, fuck, more than half of us would be gone. See you later, right? If the tree just said, no breath for you today, you're done, right? So let's use this as a hint and take a look and realize that tree's not growing from the outside. It's growing from the inside out. It started as a seed, right? Through the earth, and it's sharing its nutrients with everything around it. And then it's growing taller and taller and taller because it gets that strength from the inside, and it grows externally from the inside out. So what I want to talk about today is finding ways to empower yourself to feel. Just to find a loved one and fucking hug them and write and talk and feel and go to a room and just sit there in your silence and feel and get counseling and get help from professionals, psychologists, counselors, friends, people that you can feel safe with. Because that's what I've done. And I can't express to you how much more free I'm feeling and how much more free I'm feeling and how much healthier I'm feeling, mind, body, and soul, and fulfilled I'm feeling and amazing that I'm feeling. And I want to share these feelings and these emotions with you. And I want to empower you and encourage you to also just be vulnerable and choose to feel and just get out of your fucking head. If you're spinning and you feel crazy and all these things, just realize like you're feeling something. You might not understand because you might have shut off your emotions when you were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 0. So the reality is we can't do it on our own. We need somebody who's kind of climbed this emotional ladder, some sort of a guide that can guide us to our feelings and be like, holy fuck, like, I was actually feeling really sad. I just needed to cry a bit. Because this one time when I was 6 months old, like, I don't even remember, but my mom, she was in a state of shock and panic because, who knows, she was in a car accident. I'm not sure. We all experience trauma at one point or another, but we have to learn how to feel. Because if you don't feel, you're stuck. You're frozen. You don't let go. You're that turtle in the shell sitting in the darkness thinking that the outside world is just horrible. And it's so safe to sit in the darkness, but you're just sitting there and suffering, and it's just not good for anybody. I'm a perfect example. I've suffered for the better part of my life. I'm 33. I'm only starting to come to life now emotionally. And it's the most beautiful thing. I'm not perfect. I'm struggling every day, but I get through it and I learn. It's kind of like going to the gym. It's like you start at 15 pounds, then you get up to 17 pounds, then 20 pounds, and it feels amazing. And yeah, it's scary as hell. But as long as you keep your heart open, you have faith. Imagine the tree that can't move. It can't move. It's fucking blizzard out, and it's like, fuck, its branches are falling off, and like somehow, some way, it gets through it, and it still grows taller. So if you kind of retrace your footsteps, and you look at all the times you were scared shitless, but you're still here, your heart is beating, you're breathing, all this shit's happening, you got a roof over your head, you got people that love you, things that you love, somehow you're still here. So use your past as your faith, right? As a guide to know and understand that you're going to be okay, and you're going to feel, and you're not going to die from feeling, you're actually going to come to life by feeling. I'll leave that with you, okay? I really appreciate your time. Please continue to be fucking awesome. Create love, spread love, and please follow my channel and like my stuff. And I got a podcast, the Mahdi Podcast, and I'm on YouTube and Instagram, Something for Humanity with the number 4.com. Check out our website. Share this with your friends. Share it with your family, because it's about time we all started fucking feeling our feelings and stopped trying to ignore them and just hating each other. Like, that's stupid. Like, come on, guys. Let's wake up. Come on, humanity. All right? Love you all. Let's create love together. Assalamu alaikum. Namaste. Goodbye. I'll learn a lot more. Sidat Sadaqal, I think, and more to come. Okay, lots of love. Stay tuned.